As mentioned, fourth form, we would have covered the three topics, spreadsheet, database, and Word. So this term, we will be starting with our new topic, web page design. And let me see. Hmm. So, for those of you who were working on the word part of the SBA, the letter part, do you remember in one of the instructions, it asks you to put a link to a website? And if you,
Yes, sir.
one person remembered,
Yes, sir.
good. So, that's what we will be basically learning about in this term. We will be designing a website or basically a web page. We're going to learn the difference between those two terminologies, website and web page. Excuse me. And that link that we're going to get from that web page that we're going to create, that is what we need to put into our letter in the word part of the SBA. So we're going to still need to do over back that letter. Not really do it over back, but just to paste in the link into the original and to do over the mail merge so that it is a part of all of the letters. Good. Um, and then when we're finished with web page design, we're basically gonna start. We're gonna head into the web page SBA, and if there is time during this term, we are going to start the programming part because that part is a bit lengthy. If you notice, if you were to check your classroom, it's only three chapters. So there's not much content on web page design because it's really not that much of um, information as that you would need to know compared to in the past. It's just about learning how to design the page, not the technical aspect of it. As we go through, you might understand a little more as to what I am saying. So our first chapter is 6.1, Introduction to Web Page Design. So what we're looking at is how to design web page. What are the principles, what rules, what factors must we follow when we are creating a web page? That's what we are looking at this term. So to get us started, um, so all of you should be familiar with websites, with web pages. Um, for example, YouTube. I hope nothing bad comes up. Um, Alright, we stick to Google before anything comes up. So this here is a web page. Whatever link you would click on and it takes you to another page, those are web pages. And that's basically what we're going to be learning. How to develop a web page, develop a website so that others can view our content. Well, let me find one of my past student websites so I can give you an idea as to what you will be making. Um, so hopefully this gets you a little excited. So what you're seeing here is a website that a student would have created. How does it look? Does it look good?
Not bad, but needed something bright.
Yeah, it's not, well, it's not on a professional basis, but this is basically what you'll be learning. So I guess in your case, but you see, your opinion there is that it is not bright, but that's actually a good comment that you made there, because that's one of the things that we'll be learning about when it comes to making or designing certain things. Content, we need to be careful when it comes to design, color, brightness, dullness, shading, all of those factors, all of those principles. Those are things we need to take into consideration when designing, when creating content. And so we're going to get into more of that, what principles we need to look at. And but this is just a general idea as to what you'll be looking at or what you'll be doing in the future. Good. So one of that you'll be creating soon. So to get us started, we would like a reader for the first paragraph. And to get us started, Abdur, could you read that for us? Still muted. All right, we can come back to you for the next paragraph. Akila, can you go ahead?
A web page is a document you can view using a browser. It may contain text, images, videos, and hyperlinks to other web pages and files. Web pages are usually written in a language called HTML, Hypertext Markup Language, a universal language that was developed to produce the layout of web pages. Do not become confused by thinking that HTML is a programming language. It isn't. It contains codes called tags that a web browser uses to present the text and images on the web page. The browser then interprets these tags to produce and format the web page for you to view.
Test, test. Alright,
Yes,
but okay now.
good. We can hear you. Good. So before we get started, for me to explain, remember, this is your second to last term. Some of you might not have fully been grasping the first three terms. You might have been doing so, but let us try to fully grasp this term so that we do not need to go it over again. Because remember, as time progresses towards CSEC, we might not have so much time when it comes to doing revision and all of that. So as we go through web page design, if you are confused about any part, if you want clarifications, let me know at that time so that we can have a full understanding before we go ahead with anything else, doing the SBA or changing the topic. Are you guys in agreement?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So if I'm talking about something and you know what I'm talking about and you want to add something, feel free to do so. If I'm talking about something and you do not know what I'm talking about and you want me to further explain, tell me so that, or ask me a question so that I can clarify it for you. Remember, this is for you to learn. I already know all of this. So, a web page is a document that you view using a browser. So notice the terminologies here. A web page is considered like a document. So just like how you would have on your computer, you would have files on your computer, you would have Word documents on your computer, a Word document, a PDF document, an Excel document, and you would use an application in order to open that document, to view that document. So, for example, a document with a docx at the end. What application do you use to open that document?
Word.
Word. Very good. A document that has PDF at the end of it. What do you use to open it?
A PDF file viewer? Not sure.
Any name of the any examples of one?
So instead of putting anything like you open it with docs, Google Docs, stuff like that. I mean, sir.
You could basically, come most programs today, they would open PDF. But what I'm trying to get at is that, well, ignore the PDF. When you want to open a docs file, you would use a word processor program, such as Microsoft Word. So it is similar to a web page. A web page is like if you have a document file, just like how we see in these files here, and you need a special program in order to open or view that file. And that special program is called a browser. So that is actually how web pages are, or how they are made. So let me share my desktop because you won't be able to see. Okay, open right in a folder. So let me go to the desktop, new folder. Good. So I'm in a new folder here, and I am going to go to Google platform, and if you were to press Control and S, like if you were saving a document, anybody ever accidentally press Control and S when they're in a browser?
No, sir.
No? Well, if you ever pressed it, Control and S, this page actually comes up. And what does this look like? Any similarities to anything you know about? This box here. What does it look like?
The box that comes up when you're trying to save a document.
Exactly. The same box that comes up when you're trying to save a document. It looks like the same thing. And what's actually happening here is that you are saving the web page. So even if I was to right click on this web page, notice I have save as here also. So I can save this web page if I click. No, it's not there. Yeah, so if I right click here, save as, that same window comes up, that same box. So I'm going to go back to my desktop, go to my new folder. I'm going to save it in this new folder, and I'm going to click save. So let's see what happens. So notice here, we have a file, we have a document. So we have a google.html. So notice it's a file, a document with an extension, a .html. And well, inside of this folder here has some additional files that is required by this file here. So if you were actually to, so I'm going to close this tab here. So notice only the PDF is open. If I were to double click on it, well, it opened in Chrome. So it opened Google for me. So let me see if I close that over here. If I double click that, it's constantly opening in my new tab. Alright, so let me bring that over here. So if I double click on it, notice a new tab just opened here in Chrome. I double click on it again, a new tab will open. So that is basically a web page, a website. It is like a document that you view using a browser. And just as how you are seeing this file here on this computer, on my computer, that is actually how it is stored on other computers. Um, the computer it is stored on, anybody remember the name of that type of computer? What would be the name of that type of computer, that category of computer? Starts with S.
Super.
No. SE. SER.
Servo.
Server. That is it. So computers on the internet are called servers because they are serving. So there are large computers on the internet, and they are hosting those document files, those web page files. Computers like these here that you're seeing here, very large computers, a lot of them, and they are storing all of those files for those websites so that persons can access them. So whenever you try to access a website, that is why if your internet is slow, it takes so long for you to access it because the browser is actually downloading all of these files here. So if the website has a lot of videos, if it has a lot of pictures, if it has large files on it, it has to download all of that in order to view it. You ever notice when you open a website, you're going to see the text, but you're going to see the images slowly loading in?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. That is because it is downloading the files. So you got to wait until the files are downloaded. So a web page, it's like documents that are on a computer called a server. And in order for you to view those documents, for you to download those documents, you need a browser. Are we following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So those web pages, we all know they contain text, they contain images, they contain videos, they contain hyperlinks. Anybody know what's a hyperlink?
It's them fancy link stuff. Just click on and it's carry to them different sites and stuff.
Good. What color does it be?
Blue.
Good. Very good. So anytime you go on the internet and you see a blue text, that is a hyperlink. So what you're seeing right now here, server definition details, whatever that is, Wikipedia, server computing, database server. Once you hover your cursor over it and it gets a line and it is blue, that is a hyperlink. Hyperlinks usually take you to another location or they let you download something. They usually it's linking you to something else. So web pages would have text, images, videos, hyperlinks, and so on. Files, so like other document files, music files, like when you go on a site and you click on a link and it downloads a video or it downloads a music file, it downloads a document, web pages have that also. Are we following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So now web pages. How do you create a web page? To create a web page, you use a language called the HTML, Hypertext Markup Language. This is what you would use to create web pages. Hypertext Markup Language. And one thing to note is that it is not a programming language. Next term, or even in this term, our next topic we're going to look at is programming. And we're going to learn about different programming languages that you use to create programs. So remember the difference. Take note of the difference. A website is not a program. So it does not use a programming language. It's called a markup language. And it is only used to create that web page. It is what is used to create that web page. So that's something else you need to take note of there. The next thing you need to take note of is that this markup language is made up of codes called tags. So in programming languages, we have something called syntaxes and keywords and statements and all of that. When we get into programming, we're going to learn about that. But in HTML, we have something called tags. Now, have any of you ever accidentally opened something like, where is it? Where is it? It's only had a day open it one. November, class freedom, March server, tools. Yes, this here. Have any of you ever opened this window in any browser, accidentally opened a window like this here?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Right. So this here is actually the HTML markup language that is used to create your browser. Not, what am I saying? That is used to create the web page. This is the language that you see in here. And if you notice, some of these words, they have a left and right arrow. So notice this doc type, HTML, arrow on the right, arrow on the left. HTML has an arrow, head has an arrow, body, the arrows here, and the arrows at the bottom here. So those words, those keywords that you're seeing in those arrows, those are the tags in HTML. Now for CSEC, you don't need to know those tags to create a website. That is actually how websites were created in the past. Persons had to learn this language. They had to know all the different type of tags. They had to know where to use the tags. So just like if they had to learn how to program, they had to learn what is the different parts of the language, the different keywords, and how to use it. But today, technology has made things so simple, you actually do not need to learn HTML anymore in order to create a website. And that is actually how that student would have created this website. They did not use HTML in order to create this website here. They use what is called a website builder. There are websites out there that you can use to create your own websites, and I'm sure a few of you would have heard or know about some of them. Anybody know of any popular examples? I'm sure you guys heard about Google Sites. No?
Cert fake.
Google Sites is actually the what was used to develop the same site that was being used last year to share information. And there are other websites. This one here, Wix.com. There's Weebly. So if you click on Wix, so Wix, Weebly, there's a bunch of them out there, Google Sites and so on. Those are online services that you would use to develop your website. So it's just like using, say for example, Microsoft Publisher or PowerPoint. You click, you drag, you put your images, you put your text wherever you want it. It's like if you're just designing, you don't need to learn the actual language. That's actually how persons are creating websites today. You don't need to learn all of the codings anymore. But that doesn't mean we won't. We're actually going to learn just a few of the basic ones because it's good to know some of the basic tags. Like for example, what is this doc type tag? What is HTML? What is head and so on. So we can learn about these simple ones and how we can actually make use of them. So that is a web page in a nutshell. That's the brief overview of a web page. So far we looked at a web page is basically a document. You use a browser in order to view it, just like how you would use a software like Microsoft Word in order to open a document. Web pages have text, images, hyperlinks, files, even contain other web pages, linking to other web pages, and so on. Third thing to remember, web pages uses HTML to be created or developed. One thing to note is that the HTML language is basically only used to structure the layout of the content on the web page. So let me open a Paint to give you an idea. Where's Paint? Why don't I have Paint there? Yes. So say for instance you have a body of text. Say this is your body of text here and you want to put it in your web page. Say you want to put it in this web page here. HTML does not develop this body of text here. You would have developed it. You would have typed it out somewhere, you saved it somewhere. Or even if it was an image, you would have downloaded it from the internet or created it from scratch. So anything you're putting on a website, you would have created, you would have developed it. So all HTML is doing is structuring the layout of that content. That's all HTML is doing. So if you were to put this text into the web page here, the purpose of HTML is to say, should this text be on the left hand side here? Should the text be on the right hand side here? Should it be in the middle? Should it be at the bottom here? Where should it be? Basically, that's all HTML is doing. It's a language that helps you to structure the layout of the web page. The actual content, all the text, the videos, the images, you are the one that have to provide that to the web page. That is actually why when I downloaded this web page, this folder here appeared. Because inside of this folder, notice all of the files are here that you would need. I notice this image file here. If I open it, notice it open in photos because the markup language here, if I was to inspect it, open with why don't I have text notepad? Oh, I do have it, but why didn't it give me the option to open it? Alright, so if I drag this over here, good. So notice when I drag this file over here, notice what it opened as the HTML markup language. So this is actually what gets translated into a web page. Your browser, this is actually what your browser is seeing. And your browser translates all of this information here into that web page. So you can actually look through it and you would be able to see certain information. Let me see. What does the web page look like? Let me open the web page. Alright, so it's supposed to have the word Gmail. So let me search for Gmail. Search Gmail. Good. So notice here, I search for that word Gmail, and notice it is here. So, and that was actually typed into the HTML. So when you check the actual web page, notice that word is here also, Gmail. So if I search for images, let me go look. If I search for images in this HTML, we're gonna find that word also. Background image. No, that's not the right one. But that's the one there. Images. So that is how HTML works. It is basically a body of text, a body of characters, and your browser interprets these text, these characters, and gives you the layout into the web page. So that same image file, this same image file here, Google logo color. Actually, if you search this name, you're going to find it inside of this file. Look, it's right here. Google logo underscore color, whatever that name is, .png. So that's what I'm trying to explain to you guys. Everything that that is on a website is inside of the HTML code. This HTML code here, everything is inside of it. It's either typed inside of it or it is referenced inside of it. So like how this image is outside, well, obviously you can't put images inside of text. So it's going to reference the name, and once it is nearby, it will be able to find that image and load it when the browser is loading up. Are you guys following, or am I getting too technical?
I there with you, sir.
Anybody else lost?
So you may go back to
All right, so all I'm trying to say in a nutshell, what I'm trying to say is that, like how in a Microsoft Word, you type in something. So if I type my name here, that is where I want my name to be on the left hand side there. If I want it to go on the right hand, I click right align. If I want it to go down, I press enter and it is going down. So that is how I lay out my content on this document. If I wanted an image, I'm going to copy the same image here and I paste it there. If I wanted to move down, I would drag it down. That is how I would lay out inside of a Word document. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So if we translate that now, or if we compare that now to HTML, HTML, I said here, or the note said HTML is made of tags. And when you want to put content on your web page, just like how you wanted to put this image, just like how you wanted to type your name, you had to produce it. You had to put it in. You had to paste it in. You had to type it in. You had to tell it what to show. So similarly with the web page now, if you want anything to be on the web page, you have to tell it what to put. So for example, like when I search for that file, this image name here, inside of the HTML, we found it here. So that is telling the HTML to show, it is telling the browser to show the image. And the purpose of the tags is for the layout. Because if you notice, we don't have anything at the top here saying right align it, left align it, put it at the bottom, put it at the top, put it in this corner. We don't have anything like that here. So how do we do that? How do we tell it where to go? How do we tell it to bold something? How do we tell it to make something italic? Just like how, remember it's a document. So how do we tell it to make this text bigger? How do we tell it to bold it? How do we tell it to make it italic? How do we change the color, the shape, the font, all of that? How? We use tags for that. That is the purpose of the tags. The tags will tell the browser, look, put it at the top, put it at the bottom, make this bold, make this italic, make this black, make this blue. That is the purpose of the tag. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
Anybody else confused? Welcome, Anupa. I know you might be extremely confused.
Good night, sir.
Alright, so Anupa, the class will be recorded. So you can go over the recording for what you would have missed. But in a nutshell, what we mentioned so far is that a web page is a document. You use a browser in order to view that web page. Web pages have text, images, videos, hyperlinks, and files inside of them. That's the second point you need to take note of. Web pages use HTML in order to structure the content on the web page, to structure the layout of the web page. Fourth point, it is not a programming language. It is a markup language. Basically, marking where things go. Fifth, it has codes called tags. So all of these left and right arrows that you're seeing here, this is a style tag. Um, where else has tags? This is a script tag. This is a HTML tag. This is a header tag, a doc type tag. Whatever you're seeing inside of these double arrows, notice the arrows here, the arrow ends here, the arrow is here. This is a meta tag. Whatever is inside of those double arrows is called a tag. Good. So that is the basic overview of a web page. Anyone that is confused before we move on? Anyone that needs any?
No, sir.
Sahid, you following?
Yep.
Shaniza?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so let's move on. Now, Next paragraph, can we have Abdur?
Yes, sir. The use of HTML helps in two major ways. To share documents, HTML was created to help users share documents on the internet so that any browser can read a basic HTML document. Two, to link to other documents. Hyperlinks use an internet address for the related documents in the HTML code for the page. Clicking on the hyperlink either downloads the related material or views the document.
Good. I hope you guys are making notes or something to remember. So, what is the use or the purpose of HTML? Well, one is to share documents. In the past, when websites were created, like today, how we use websites to view content, we go on YouTube to watch videos, we go on certain websites to play games, and so on. That is actually not how it was in the past when websites were created. Websites were just developed to share information, to share documents. So it's kind of like how when you go open Wikipedia and all you can do is just read information, you can't really add information. Well, yes, you can edit Wikipedia, but in the past you would not have been able to edit. It's just for you to view the information, to read what a person would have posted. So that is why the purpose of HTML was to share documents. The next purpose of HTML was to link to other documents. So in the past, once again, in order for you to access a website, you needed to know what is the name of the website. It's the same today. If you do not know the name of a website, then you cannot access it. So, if you wanted to find a certain website today, what would you do?
Use the name or the link.
Username? But wait, what do you mean username? I'm looking for something specific.
So what's the question?
How do you find a certain website?
Type in the name or use the
Type
link.
it in Google.
Type it in on.
Press
Use
search.
the link.
So I'm reading the question yet.
The question is, if you don't know the name of a website and you want to go to this website, or say you're doing, you don't know the name of a website and this website has information that you want, what do you do? Today, what do you do?
I just type in the information.
Good, you type it in, but
Yeah, or ask the question.
where do you type it in?
In the search thing.
Google.
In Google
You
or
want.
the search box, or more specifically, a search engine. So another terminology, I don't think it's mentioned here, but um, give me a second. Give me a 5 minutes. Remember we stopped at we're pausing at search engine. Search engine. Give me a 5 minutes. I'll be back. In the meantime, y'all could research it and talk about it, what it is.
What was the name?
What?
The name of the thing we got research.
Search engine.
All right, I'm back. You guys there?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Abdur, Kilo, Anupa, Atavia, Hudson,
Here.
Adia, Indira, Kia,
Yes, sir.
Sahid, Shania,
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Hazel. Good. Guys, looked at search engine. So basically, we're looking at what is the second major use of HTML. It was to link to other documents. So why do we need it to link to other documents? Well, because in the past, in order for you to basically go to a website, you needed to know the name. So for instance, if you wanted to go to Google, you needed to know that a website named google.com. Or if you wanted to go to Facebook, you needed to know the website name facebook.com. So a lot of persons take it for granted today that we could simply type in google.com and we can type in face and we get Facebook come up there. So if we didn't know the name of a website, we use a program, a software called a search engine. It is internet-based software that helps us to find internet addresses or websites. Internet address is actually another name for a website, so please take note of that. It's not another name, but it's like another terminology that we use. So today, when we want to find the name of a website, we use a search engine. But in the past, they would not have had so much search engine in order to find websites. So they didn't have like a central place where they could go and type in the name of whatever they're looking for and they get all of this list of information. They didn't have that much in the past. Over time they would have gradually seen the need and they would have developed that. That is why websites needed hyperlinks in the past. So that if you're on one page, if you're on one website, you click on the link and it takes you to another website. So that way now, a person is like it helps to advertise, you can say. So if you're on one website and you wanted to promote another one, or you wanted persons to learn about the next website, you use a hyperlink. So one of the purpose of the HTML was to link you to other web pages and to download material. That's another purpose of it. To download material. So whether that be document, whether that be images, whether that be a music file, whatever the case may be, is a URL, not a URL, yeah, URL or a hyperlink that you would click on in order to download or get that file or document. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Please remember if you have any confusion, let me know now. We're trying to understand the topic before we go on anywhere else. Good. So that's some of the basics there. Continuing with HTML. So the next two paragraphs. Um, Anupa, can you read that for us?
Any web browser can be used to access a web page. The most common browsers are Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Microsoft Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, and Apple Safari. Browsers let you view HTML files but not create them. You can open a web page by entering a unique web address called a URL in the address bar. For example, typing www.oup.com slash Oxford CSEC for IT opens support web page for this text. You can also use a search engine to find a web page.
Very good. So, what are some examples of? So, we already learned that you would use a browser in order to view a web page. So, what are some examples? I'm sure you guys know some of these examples by now. Google Chrome, Microsoft Edge, Internet Explorer, Mozilla Firefox, Opera, Apple Safari, and so on. Now, when it comes to when it comes to examples of different types of software, CXC, it's important to know examples of software. Not because they're going to ask you on the exam what is a internet browser, but they might structure the question in a different way to trick you. They might say that they might give you a programming question. They might say which one of the following is a program or a programming language, and you might actually see Opera as an answer. So by learning what are some examples of different types of software, it can help you to remember or to know that certain answers are going to be wrong on your exam. So that way you can eliminate those and choose the correct answer. So these examples here, please memorize them. These are some examples of web browsers. Now, as mentioned, browsers view HTML files. Important, they do not create them. They only view. So that's actually different to a word processor. A word processor creates a Word document. It views a Word document. But a browser only views. It does not create. So what do you use to create a website? What do you use to create a web page? Well, we already learned that HTML is the language in order to create that web page. So, by looking at this HTML language here, what do you guys notice about it? Let me see if anybody pick it up. What do you notice about it? What is it only? Or what are you seeing? Don't worry with all the different fancy and so on. Yes, Fantasia.
Sorry,
Yes, go ahead.
is a long chain of commands
Commands. Okay.
or like different functions that form the page itself.
Mm-hmm. Or more simpler. What exactly are you seeing? Just tell me exactly. When you look at it, don't worry with technical aspect. When you look at it, what are you seeing?
Characters.
Code?
Exactly. Characters. That's what you're seeing. When you look at it from a general overview, all you're seeing is basically characters. You're seeing letters, you're seeing different symbols, you're seeing numbers, and so on. Isn't that right?
Yes, sir.
Are you guys seeing any shapes, any diagrams, any images, and so on?
No?
No, sir.
No. So it is only using text. That is basically what um, programming languages and markup languages are. They're basically text, characters, and so on. So since it is only text, then basically any program that allows you to type text, characters, and so on can be used to create a web page. So the when you type notepad on your computer, this simple program here, this notepad program that some of you may have ignored or never used or never looked at, this simple program here can be used to write and create a web page. because it handles text. But there are more sophisticated text-based programs like this one that I'm using, Notepad++, that shows you more functionality and so on. Because if I was to highlight everything here and copy it, and I was to paste that into Notepad, you're going to see how different it's going to look. Notice the difference? There is no color, there is no highlight, there is no bold or anything. It's just plain black and white. It's still going to work, but what happened is that certain programs, they can detect the tags. So notice when I click on this tag, it detected it, or certain keywords is detecting those things. So that's why certain specialized programs, text-based programs, were developed so that they can read those tags, they can read those keywords, and clearly make them stand out so that it's easier to write the markup language. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
So basically what I'm trying to say is that the HTML language is basically text. That's all you're seeing here, text. You're seeing letters, you're seeing symbols, you're seeing numbers. So what do you need to create a web page? A simple program that can be used to type text, numbers, and symbols. That is all you need. So if your calculator can type text, numbers, and character and symbols, then that could be used to create a web page. That is how simple it is. If you were to copy that even into Microsoft Word, because this is a text editor also, all the characters there, and if I was to save it, I could save it as a web page file, and I could have opened it as the web page. So you just need a simple program in order to deal with text in order to create a web page. Are you guys following now?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Anyone,
Yes, sir.
anyone that is confused? Because it seems sometimes I'm getting too technical, and that is what is confusing some of you. You guys aren't responding.
So later down in the chapters or whatever is when we gonna learn how to turn out all the characters into the actual web page.
Right, correct.
Alright, so I have a question now.
So, but as I mentioned, you don't need to learn all of this. We're gonna still learn the basic tags, but you don't need to for CSEC. But it's still good to know what some of the basic tags are for future reference as IT students. Knowing those things can be beneficial to you. Alright, continuing. So it says that to open a web page, you basically need the URL. We would have learned that in third form. Anybody remembers what is a URL?
Sir, the first word stand for universal. I feel like they're wrong. Never mind.
So what was yours?
Sir, I don't know. L with a big link.
What's the question? Say break up.
What is URL?
I know this. Wait. Resource locate. Uniform resource. Low something locate. No, that locate is link. Sorry, it's one of them things. I don't locate. It's uniform resource locator link. Yeah.
Clap for Kia.
Clap for me.
She is correct. Uniform Resource Locator, not link, locator. So that's what URL stands for. So It's about three terminologies that are kind of the same: a web address, a URL, an address. There's another one somewhere. Where is it? Somewhere. Yeah, they basically mean the same thing. It's used to identify the name of the web page, a web address, an address, a URL, and so on. So, for example, www.oup.com, that is the name of the website. That will take you to the home page, and anything after that will take you to any other pages on that website. So, as mentioned, you can also use a search engine to find a web page, and that's what we use today. So please take note of all of these terminologies. What is a web address? What is a URL? What is a search engine? What is a browser? What is a web page? And so on. Okay, we didn't discuss something. So, alright, when we get to that paragraph, we can talk about this. Everybody following so far?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So let's go on to our next paragraph now, and we're gonna have Atavia.
In the early days, web pages were intended to only provide information for education and the government. Now, new websites are being created and existing ones are being updated and modified every day. A website can be standalone web page or multiple web pages linked together through navigational links. Some general categories of websites are explained in Table 6.1.
Good. So one thing I think a few of you might be wondering or thinking about is that when you go to, or when you tell somebody go to Facebook or go to YouTube, you will tell them go to that website. You will never tell them go to that web page. Anybody ever said that? Go to the web page, open the web page, or do you say website?
None.
Yeah, I never said PH there.
For those that use the terminology website, they don't usually use the term web page because it's not so common. Most persons would say go to that website or use this website and so on. Or that Facebook is the website name, something like that, along that line. So, what I'm getting at is that you need to know the difference between what is a website and what is a web page. It's kind of like one and the same, but they have their differences. So, we already learned that a web page is like a document. So, it is a document basically though with one page. So just like how we can scroll up and down, don't worry about this intersection here. Just consider it all one page. Once you're not going anywhere, once you're just scrolling up and down, that is a web page. So if I went on this page here, this is a web page. This one page here, this is a web page. If I go over into another page, this is another web page. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
Now, a website is going to be what? Anybody get where I'm going at? How will a website be?
When you go into one of them things,
Okay? But if you were to describe it now, or if you were to,
when you go into one of the websites from the web page,
mm,
Is it the individual thingy on the web page, like the individual headings or something? I don't know. Something like that.
alright, we can go it over back again. So, we already said that a web page is like a document, but it's basically one page. So compare it to a book now. Now we compare it to a book. A web page is like a single page in a book. It's like the book that hopefully some of you have in front of you right now. If you were to look at a single page, that is a web page. So, how would you describe a website?
A sentence on the page.
A
So,
paragraph.
so the website
Sir,
is the book.
Exactly. That is it.
sir, so therefore it's like a collection of web pages.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That is exactly a website. A collection of pages. So all of the pages, so all of these tabs that you're seeing here, these are individual web pages. When I go to all, that is one web page on Google. When I go to images, that is another web page. When I go to books, that is another web page. Even if I switch the number at the bottom here, it is another page. Because why? It took me to another page. If I was scrolling up and down simply like this here, up and down, I'm still on the same page. But the mere fact that something loaded and everything changed, I am on a totally different page. So a website is basically made up of multiple web pages. That is a website. So that is why persons, you don't hear persons say go to this web page, that Facebook is a web page. No, it is a website because all websites have different pages. You have a page for your friends, you have a page for your profile, you have a page for those who would have blocked, you have a page for your settings. There's different web pages, and all of that combined to make this one website. Are you guys following?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Good. So, with that in mind now, if you notice the name of our topic, the name of the topic for this term is web page design, and it's the same name for your SBE. So, let me see if anybody gets where I'm going at. So, what are you going to be developing for your SBA?
A website.
Sir, a web page.
A web page. So, Fantasia just left the meeting, right?
As she should at least.
I don't think she left because of that. Yes, but it is a web page that we will be developing. It was a good try from her though. At least she's trying, unlike some of you. So,
Call name, sir.
Kia,
Jonathan.
I just asked a question, sir. Just live the quiet. Obviously.
so what I'm trying to get at is that we are developing a web page for your SBE. What that means is that we are basically only making one page. Yes, you can have multiple pages, you're going to get a website. So basically, a website kind of have one page. If you think about it, it's still going to be a website, even if it has one page. But the entire website, I should have asked you guys that question. But the entire website cannot be considered a web page. It's web pages, but I don't think web pages is the word. So what I'm getting at now is that for your SBA, you are developing a single page. That's the main goal. Developing a single page that has all the content on it. Because if you notice, the one that I shared with you, this one here, that's why there's so much scrolling. Because all of the content is actually on this one page. Yes, there's tabs here that can take you to other pages, but actually these don't take you. As yeah, this one took her to yeah, this one took you to another page. But these ones here, all the content is on one page. So that's basically our focus. Just developing one page for our SPA.
So,
Yes,
so technically, if you know for make a web page, you would know for make a website. You just gotta make more than one web page.
exactly.
Alright.
Because it's just like if you're creating an assignment. Because remember, it's all documents basically. And when you create an assignment, when you have different parts of that assignment, you have the table of content, you have the acknowledgement, you have the bibliography, you have your the actual parts of the assignment. Say for example, the assignment is types of dogs. You're gonna have a page that has all the types. Then you're gonna have another page describing this specific type, another page describing another one. You don't put everything on one page. And that's basically the same idea with a web page, with a website. You don't put everything on the same page because not only will it make the page cluttered, that too much thing on one page, but remember, all of this information has to be downloaded to your computer. So the more you have on one page, it means the more a person, has to download. And that's going to cause problems to the person, especially if they have a slow internet. So it's a good practice for good management, good organization, um, having a nice and neat, presentable, professional website. It's all come down to good planning and organizing. To have different content on different pages. And technically, it has its benefits also. So that is why um, a website can be a standalone web page. Oh, it's right here also. A website can be a standalone web page or multiple web pages linked together through navigational links. Now, what is this navigational links? This is a terminology that you guys need to take note of. If I was to show you this page here, what would you say? Can you guys make a guess? What do you think is the navigational links?
The headings in blue.
Headings in blue. So this heading here.
Yes, sir.
All right. Didn't I think we already looked at this. It has another name.
Um, sir, no. Never mind.
So before we move on from that, what's the name of these headings in blue?
Sir, hyperlinks.
Good. So these are your hyperlinks. So what would be your navigational links now? So if these are your hyperlinks, what is the navigational link? Is there anything else that could be our navigational link?
Sir, the thingies above the hyperlink in black. I don't know.
So this thing here, books.google.gy.
Yeah.
Think about it. Think about the terminology. When you hear navigational, what comes to your mind?
So, the thing that the wherever you type in the search box or search engine.
Okay. All right. So, well, this is basically the search box. So that's not a navigational link. This is the search box for the search engine. These texts in blue are your hyperlink. Your navigational links are these words, these links here that you're seeing here, that takes you to different parts of the website. As the name indicates, it navigates you to different parts of the website. It's navigational links, navigates you on the website. So if you want to go to somewhere, a part of the website, you use the navigational links. So Google has basically five sections here, multiple sections. It has the all section, it has the image section, it has the video section, it has the book section, and so on. And in order for you to go to those web pages, those sections where you can find those information, you would use those navigational links. You guys following?
Yes, sir.
So if we were to look at YouTube, YouTube also has navigational links. When you click on this three bars here and all of these options that you see in here, these are all navigational links. You can go to the home page. You can go to explore. You can go to subscription. You can go to library. It takes you to all of the different parts of the website. That is the purpose of navigational links. And when you go on different websites, look for it. Look for navigational links. You're gonna see it on almost all websites. But like for example, this one here. Notice we have two navigational links there. So we have two here. We have my feed and we have money. As two navigational links there. If we go to the child's website that I was showing you, we have navigational links here. These are navigational links here that takes you to different parts of the website. So if you wanted to go to the About Us, you click on that and you go to the About Us part. Now one thing to note, navigational links don't only take you to another page. They can also take you to a certain part on the same page, like what just happened here. If I wanted products, it took me to the product section. About Us, it took me to the About Us section. So it can either take you to another part of a page or to an entirely different page. Are we following?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Alright, it's 8:04. I don't know if you guys want to continue up to 8:30 or you guys want to end here for tonight. Are you guys tired?
And hungry, sir.
Yes,
Yes.
sir, I want to go home.
Plus, I got go.
Well, we have confirmation he is not at home. Alright, so we're gonna end here for today. So in review, what we looked at today, what are the key points you need to remember? One, a web page is a single page. Just like how a document could have a single page, that is a web page, a single page. You scroll up and down multiple times, that is a web page. You need a special program to open, view that web page. That program is called a browser. Web pages have text, they have images, they have videos, they have hyperlinks, they have files, and so on. You guys should know all of that. You've been on websites multiple times before. Third thing to remember, websites use HTML in order to be created. That is hypertext markup language. All of these terminologies you need to remember for your CSEC exam. So like how you guys forgot what is URL and what is something else, you need to remember those terms. HTML, the purpose of it is to give you the layout of the web page, not to put the content on the web page, but to give you the layout. Tell it how to bold something, how to make something italic, how to put it at the top, how to put it to the bottom. So, oh, one thing I forgot to mention is that developer. So like how we our Word document has a header part. Those who are doing the letter, they would know about the header and the footer where you can type in information. Your website also has a header. Notice this part here. That's actually why we have this tag here. This is called the header tag. And whatever you put here will appear in the header of the website. So you can see how it's actually similar to a document. HTML is not a programming language. Remember that. The codes in HTML are called tags. Why do we use HTML? To share documents, to share information, to share resources, to link to other web pages, to link to other documents, for you to download files, and so on. Common web browsers, we have Chrome, Edge, Internet Explorer, Firefox, Opera, Safari, and so on. Browsers do not create a web page. They do not create HTML files. They only view those files. A web address, a URL, they are basically the same. They are the name of the website. For example, www.oup.com, and whatever comes after it basically takes you to different pages on that website. What is a search engine? It is a software on the internet that we use to find web pages. Remember the past? You needed to use hyperlinks or you needed to know the name. But today we have it so easy that we use search engines. In the past, web pages were used to share information, but today we use it to watch videos, play games, and a whole sort of other things. And lastly, we looked at two additional terms. What is a website compared to what is a web page? Remember, the website is like a book, and the web page is like individual pages in that book. So remember that illustration when you are confused about web page and website. So a web page by itself can be considered a website. It doesn't need multiple pages. So a web page is a website. But a website can have multiple pages also. And what are the navigational links? Well, they basically allow you to navigate that website. That is how you travel across the different pages. It's basically also hyperlinks that take you to other pages, but they're called navigational links. One thing I forgot to mention is that a need for the navigational links is so that when you're on a page, you are basically not trapped. When I say trapped, meaning that, say for example, if we're at Google and we're at a certain page and we want to go back to the home page, we must not have to press this back arrow. We must simply either press Google. Google also at the top there is a navigational link. Or we can press one of these links here to take us to another part of the website. That is the main purpose of a website, so that we're basically not trapped. Say for example like this here, we don't have any way to go back to the main page. It's either we type in back the name at the top, google.com, or we use the back arrow. That is a poor or an improper design for a website. So all websites must have navigational links. So if whenever in the future you're going on a website, check it out, look at it, you're gonna always see it has navigational links. You should never be on a page and you have to press the back button in order to come out of that page. You can always see there's something at the top for you to press to go somewhere else. So that's all we're going to cover for today. If you guys don't have any questions, that is going to be the end of today's class. Enjoy your weekend.